Naya opened her eyes to darkness and pain. Her head throbbed. Something warm trickled down her face. Blood. Her blood. Blue and glowing faintly in the dim light. The escape pod had saved her life, but just barely. Its curved white walls were cracked. Warning lights flashed red. The air smelled of burnt metal and fear. Naya pushed herself up with shaking arms. Her slender body, built for the gentle gravity of her home world, felt heavy here. 4 delicate fingers on each hand pressed against the cold floor as she struggled to stand. Outside, strange sounds filled the air. Screeches, growls, the snap of massive jaws. This planet was alive with danger. She touched the communication panel. Nothing happened. The crash had destroyed it. No way to call for help. No way to tell her people she was still alive. Stay calm, she whispered to herself. Her voice sounded strange, even to her own ears. Thin and fragile against the wild sounds outside. Naya was 20 solar cycles old, young for a Lyrian. Too young to die on a forbidden planet, far from home. She had only joined the research mission because of her talent for identifying new plant species. Now the ship was gone. Her crew was gone. Only Naya remained. She checked her survival pack. A small food supply, a water purifier, basic medical supplies, a damaged universal translator that worked only half the time, and her personal research tablet somehow still functioning. Naya pressed a button on her wrist device. A map appeared, glowing softly blue. It showed her location and the surrounding area. The escape pod had landed in a dense jungle, miles from where the main ship had crashed. Maybe that was good. Maybe the things that attacked them wouldn't find her here. She had to leave the pod. It wasn't safe to stay. The power was failing, and the emergency beacon was damaged. If she stayed, she would die. If she left, she might. Still die, but at least she would have a chance. Naya gathered her supplies into a pack and slung it over her shoulder. Then she pressed the button to open the pod door. The door slid open with a hiss. Hot, wet air rushed in. The smell was strange, rich with unknown plants and the heavy scent of decay. Naya's skin, pale blue and lightly patterned with bioluminescent dots, began to glow brighter in response to her fear. She stepped out onto alien soil. The jungle towered above her. Massive trees with trunks wider than buildings reached toward. A sky she couldn't see. The canopy blocked most of the light, leaving the ground in constant twilight. Strange flowers glowed with their own light, pulsing slowly like heartbeats. Naya touched the translator at her throat and spoke a command. It flickered to life, scanning the environment and providing limited information. Atmosphere, breathable, but high in nitrogen. Gravity, 1.3 times Lyrian standard. Temperature, elevated but within tolerance. Warning, unknown biological signatures detected nearby. The last part made her skin glow brighter with fear. Unknown biological signatures. In simple terms, monsters. She needed to move. Find water, find better shelter. The damaged pod would attract attention. Naya set off in the direction her scanner showed might have a water source. Her feet sank slightly into the soft ground with each step. The plants around her moved, some turning toward her as if watching. Others shrank away as she passed. The first creature she saw made her freeze in place. It was as big as a transport vehicle, with a body covered in plates that looked like black metal. 6 legs supported its massive weight. Its head swung side to side as it moved, multiple eyes scanning the jungle floor. It hadn't seen her yet. Naya pressed herself against a tree trunk, trying to control her breathing. Her natural glow dimmed as her body's defense mechanisms kicked in. The massive creature passed by without noticing her. When it was gone, she continued her careful journey. The jungle was full of life. some beautiful, some terrifying. Flyers with wingspans wider than she was tall soared between the trees. Small scuttling things fled from her footsteps. After walking for hours, she found water. A stream flowing clear and cool between mossy banks. Her scanner showed it was safe to drink. Naya filled her container and drank deeply. At least she wouldn't die of thirst. As the day wore on, the light dimmed even further. Night was coming. Naya needed shelter before darkness fell completely. Her eyes, adapted for the bright days of her home world, would be nearly useless in full darkness. Despite her natural glow. She found a place where several trees had grown together, forming a natural hollow. Using branches and large leaves, she built a simple hiding place. Not perfect, but better than nothing. Just as she finished, her translator picked up something new. Not animal sounds. Not the normal noises of the jungle. These were artificial, mechanical. The hum of engines. Someone else was on this planet. Hope flared in Naya's chest. Rescue? Had her people come looking for survivors? She climbed higher into the trees to see better. In the distance, lights cut through the deepening gloom. Ships, large ones, moving with purpose. Naya adjusted her translator to pick up any communications. At first, there was only static. Then, words began to form. Not in her language. Something harsh and clicking. Her blood turned cold as the translator identified the language. Draxion. Not rescuers. Hunters. The Draxian Empire. And her people had been enemies for generations. The 8-foot-tall warriors with their hard exoskeletons. And cruel weapons were feared throughout the galaxy. They saw Lyrians as prey, not people. Naya pressed a hand over her mouth to keep from making a sound. The Draxians must have attacked her research ship. Now they were hunting for survivors. From her perch, she watched the distant lights split up. Search parties. They were being thorough, methodical. They would find her escape pod soon. Then they would track her. Night fell completely. The jungle changed. New sounds emerged. New dangers. But nothing as dangerous as what was hunting her. Naya couldn't stay here. By morning, the Draxians would find her pod and begin tracking her. She needed to move deeper into the jungle, away from where she'd landed, deeper into monster territory. Naya gathered her few supplies and slipped out of her shelter, using her natural glow, carefully controlled to provide just enough light to see by. She began to move through the night jungle. Behind her, the Draxian searchlights grew more organized. They had found something. Perhaps her pod. Tears slid down Naya's face as she fled into the darkness. Abandoned on a forbidden world. Surrounded by monsters that would eat her and hunters that would do worse. No hope of rescue. All she could do was run, hide, and survive, one day at a time, alone among monsters. 3 weeks passed. Naya survived. Each day was a fight to stay alive. Each night a battle against fear. She had moved far from her crashed pod, traveling mostly at night when the Draxian search parties seemed less active. During the day, she hid and rested. Her body was tired all the time. The heavy gravity of this world made every step hard work. Naya had built a small shelter high in the branches of a massive tree. The height kept her safe from many ground predators. She had woven branches and large leaves together to make walls that kept out the frequent rain. Her bed was soft moss that grew on the tree trunks. Food was a problem. Her supplies had run out after the first week. Since then, she had carefully tested plants and fruits, using her research tablet to analyze them. Some made her sick. Others provided just enough nutrition to keep her alive. She was thinner now, her once fitted uniform hanging loose on her frame. Water came from collecting rain and from a small stream nearby. At least she didn't go thirsty. Naya sat in her tree shelter, checking her makeshift calendar on her tablet. 22 days since the crash. No sign of rescue. No way to send a message home. The Draxian patrols still moved through the jungle, but less often near her current location. Maybe they thought she was dead. Maybe they had given up. A distant roar made her look up from her tablet. One of the giant plate-backed creatures was moving through the jungle below. Naya had named them tanks because they crushed everything in their path. This one seemed agitated, moving faster than normal. Then she heard why. The harsh mechanical sounds of Draxian speech. A patrol was coming, and they were close. Naya quickly gathered her few possessions. She hadn't survived this long by taking chances. Time to move again. She climbed down the backside of her tree and dropped silently to the ground. Years of low gravity. Training made her light on her feet, despite the heavy pull of this world. The voices grew louder. Too close. Naya ducked behind a large fallen log and dimmed her natural glow as much as possible. Through a small gap, she could see them. 5 Draxian warriors in full battle armor. Their exoskeletons gleamed dully in the filtered light. Each stood over 8 feet tall, with 4 arms ending in clawed hands. 2 carried energy weapons. The others had blades that could cut through metal. With them was something worse. A tracker beast. Low to the ground, 6-legged, with a head that was mostly mouth and nose. These creatures could smell prey from miles away. The Draxians used them to hunt. The beast sniffed the air, then turned its ugly head toward Naya's hiding place. It made a low, eager sound. One of the Draxians clicked something to the others. They all turned to look in her direction. Naya ran. There was no point in hiding now. The beast had her scent. She sprinted through the jungle, ducking under low branches, jumping over roots. Behind her, she heard the crash of the Draxians following. They were strong but not fast. The tracker beast was both. A fallen tree blocked her path. Naya jumped, her muscles straining against the gravity. She cleared it, but just barely. The sound of water reached her ears. The stream was ahead, wider here than where she usually collected water. If she could cross it, maybe the water would hide her scent. Naya burst from the trees onto a muddy bank. The stream had become a river, fast-moving and dark. No time to look for a safe crossing. The sounds of pursuit were too close. She jumped in. The cold water shocked her system. The current was stronger than she expected, pulling at her body. Naya was not a strong swimmer. On her homeworld, with its shallow seas and low gravity, swimming was easy. Here it was a fight. She kicked hard, trying to reach the other side. The current pulled her downstream. Behind her, she heard splashing. The tracker beast had entered the water. Nai looked back. The beast was struggling against the current, too. The Draxians stood on the bank, unwilling to follow. Their heavy bodies would sink in the deep water. One raised its weapon. Energy crackled at the tip. Naya took a deep breath and dove under the surface, just as the weapon fired. The water above her boiled where the energy beam hit. The current grew stronger. Naya fought to reach the surface again. Her lungs burned. When she finally broke through, gasping for air, she was being carried rapidly downstream. The Draxians and their beast were no longer in sight. But Naya couldn't fight the current. It pulled her along, sometimes dragging her under. Rocks bruised her body. Fallen trees threatened to trap her. She didn't know how long she was in the water. It might have been minutes or hours. Finally, the river widened and slowed. Naya managed to grab onto a trailing vine and pull herself toward the shore. Exhausted, she dragged herself onto a sandy bank and lay there, breathing hard. Her pack was gone. Her tablet was gone. All she had left was the damaged translator around her neck and the clothes on her back. When she could move again, Naya looked around. This part of the jungle was different. The trees were less dense. Strange stone shapes rose among them, not natural stones. Buildings, ruins. She had reached some kind of abandoned settlement. The structures were huge, built for beings much larger than herself. Some had collapsed. Others still stood, their surfaces covered in vines and moss. Naya approached one of the buildings carefully. Its entrance was a tall archway, easily 3 times her height. Inside was darkness, but it would provide shelter, a place to hide and recover. She stepped inside, letting her natural glow provide light. The building was a single vast room. The walls were covered in carvings, symbols she didn't recognize. Pictures of tall, powerful beings dot at the far end was a raised platform. On it sat a stone chair, no, a throne. Whoever built this place had been rulers of some kind. Naya explored further. Other buildings held different treasures. One contained pools of water, still clean after who knew how many years. Another had platforms that might have been beds. In one, she found small metal objects, tools perhaps, or weapons. Some were still sharp. Naya took one that fit her hand, a blade about as long as her forearm. It made her feel a little safer. As night fell, Naya made a small nest in the building with the pools. She drank the clean water and used them to wash her injuries from the river. Then she curled up to sleep, the metal blade close at hand. Exhaustion pulled her quickly into dreams. She didn't hear the distant sounds that began in the night. The hum of engines, the crash of trees being cleared, the voices of many Draxians working together. She didn't see the lights that rose over the jungle, bright and artificial. Lights from ships landing in a clearing not far from the ruins. Naya slept, unaware that her hidden sanctuary was about to become something else entirely. A forward base for the Draxian Empire. Naya woke to the sound of engines. Loud, powerful engines, not far away. Her eyes snapped open, her heart racing. She had slept too long. The dim light filtering through the ruins told her it was already midday. She crept to a small opening in the wall and peered out. What she saw made her blood freeze. A large clearing had been cut into the jungle. Trees lay fallen, their massive trunks pushed aside like toys. In the center of the clearing stood 3 Draxian ships. Not small patrol vessels, but massive carriers. Each one could hold hundreds of warriors, and it seemed all of them were outside now, working. Draxians moved purposefully across the clearing, setting up structures. Prefabricated buildings rose quickly. Defense towers were already in place at the perimeter, their weapons pointing outward. This was no search party. This was a settlement. A base. Naya pulled back from the opening, pressing herself against the cool stone wall. Her mind raced. She needed to move, to get far away from here. But how? The Draxians were between her and the jungle. If she tried to run, they would see her. She would have to wait for night. Then maybe she could slip away in the darkness. All day, Naya watched. From hiding as the Draxian base grew, more ships arrived. More buildings went up. She counted at least 500 warriors, maybe more. This was no small outpost. This was an invasion force. But why here? This planet was marked as Forbidden's territory. No one came here except fools like her research team. What did the Draxians want? As the alien sun began to set, casting long shadows, across the clearing, something new happened. A different sound filled the air. Not the harsh rumble of Draxion engines, but something smoother, almost musical. A new ship appeared in the sky above the clearing. Smaller than the Draxian vessels, but sleek and beautiful. It glowed with soft lights along its hull. Naya had never seen anything like it. The Draxians noticed too. Warriors stopped their work. Weapons were raised. A defensive line formed. Facing the newcomer. This was not a friendly visit. The strange ship hovered for a moment, then descended slowly to land at the edge of the clearing, far from the Draxian vessels. A tense silence fell. Nia's translator picked up fragments of Draxian commands. Ready weapons. Surround the vessel. Prepare for possible hostilities. The new ship settled onto the ground with barely a sound. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a section of its hull slid open, revealing a ramp. Light spilled out from inside. Figures appeared in the doorway. Nia squinted, trying to see better. They were not Draxians. They were smaller, closer to her own size. They stood on 2 legs and had 2 arms. Their bodies were covered in fitted clothing, not the natural armor of Draxians. 5 of them walked down the ramp and stood facing the line of Draxian warriors. They showed no fear despite being greatly outnumbered. 1 step forward. Through her damaged translator, Nia caught fragments of speech. A new language, one she had never heard before. The translator struggled to convert it. Greetings, Captain Lara Shepard. Earth vessel ... peaceful. Trading mission. Earth? Nia searched her memory. Earth was mentioned in Confederation. Records, but only briefly. A distant planet. Home to a primitive species called humans. They had only just discovered faster-than-light travel. The Confederation had decided to leave them alone to develop on their own. Yet here they were, far from their home, facing down the most feared warriors in the galaxy without showing fear. The Draxian commander responded. His harsh language came through more clearly on Nia's translator. Your presence is noted, human. Our agreement stands. You may trade, but do not interfere with our operations here. Agreement? Humans were trading with Draxians? That was impossible. No one traded with Draxians. They took what they wanted. The human captain spoke again. We're mapping this sector. Our records show this planet as uninhabited. Your presence here is unexpected. The Draxian commander's reply was cold. This is now Draxian territory. Your mapping is noted, but irrelevant. We have claimed this world. A human showed no reaction to the harsh tone. Very well. We will update our charts. We still wish to trade as agreed. What followed was strange to watch. The humans and Draxians moved to a flat area where the humans displayed various items. Some looked like technology. Others were containers of what might be food or medicine. The Draxians examined everything carefully. Nia couldn't believe what she was seeing. Humans, a species barely mentioned in Confederation records, were standing on equal terms with the feared Draxian Empire. How was this possible? As she watched, a plan began to form in her mind. The humans seemed civilized. They might help her. If she could somehow get to their ship, maybe they would take her away from this nightmare. But how could she reach them? The clearing was full of Draxians. Any attempt to cross it would be suicide. Then she remembered something from her survival training. A small device in the pocket of her uniform. An emergency beacon. Not powerful enough to reach orbit, but maybe. Strong enough to be detected by a ship on the ground. Nia pulled it out. The small disc was cracked, but still functional. If she activated it, the humans might detect the signal. But so might the DREXX. INS. It was a terrible risk. But what choice did she have? With trembling fingers, Nia activated the beacon. A tiny light blinked on, pulsing slowly. The signal was weak, but steady. Now, all she could do was wait and hope. The trading continued as the day faded into night. Lights came on around the Draxian base, bright and harsh. The human ship glowed softly in the darkness. Nia kept watching, clutching the beacon in her hand. Hours passed. The trading seemed to be concluding. The humans were returning to their ship with whatever they had received in exchange for their goods. They were leaving. Her chance was slipping away. Suddenly, a sound like thunder rolled across the sky. Lightning flashed. In moments, rain began to fall. Not gentle rain, but a violent downpour. The kind of storm that appeared quickly in this jungle world. The Draxians hurried to secure their equipment. The humans rushed back to their ship, but didn't take off. The storm was too fierce for safe departure. Naya looked at the beacon in her hand. The rain might help her. In the confusion of the storm, with sensors affected by the weather, she might be able to move closer to the human ship without being detected. It was a small chance. But it was the only one she had. Gathering her courage, Naya slipped out of her hiding place into the pouring rain. The water plastered her thin clothing to her body. Her skin's glow was barely visible in the downpour. Staying in the shadows of the ruins, she began to make her way toward the edge of the clearing where the human ship waited. Rain pounded the jungle in heavy sheets. Lightning flashed, turning night to day for brief seconds. Thunder shook the ground. The perfect storm for Naya's desperate plan. She moved from shadow to shadow around the edge of the clearing. The rain washed away her scent, making it harder for Draxian trackers to find her. The noise covered the small sounds of her movement. Even so, she froze whenever a Draxian patrol passed nearby. The human ship sat about 200 meters away. It looked different from any vessel Naya had seen before. Not as angular as Confederation ships. Not as spiked and threatening as Draxian craft. It had smooth curves and glowed with soft blue lights, even in the storm. Naya clutched her emergency beacon tightly. It continued to pulse, sending out its weak signal. Had the humans detected it? Was anyone even looking for such signals on this forbidden world? She had covered half the distance to the ship when disaster struck. A bolt of lightning hit a tall tree at the edge of the clearing. With a tremendous crack, the tree split and fell right toward a Draxian guard post. The guards scattered, diving for safety. The massive trunk crashed down, crushing equipment and narrowly missing the warriors. In the chaos that followed, all eyes turned to the fallen tree. All eyes except one pair. A human had emerged from the ship. Tall for his species, but still shorter than a Draxian. He wore some kind of fitted armor that shed water like a shell. Lights on his helmet cut through the rain. He seemed to be scanning the perimeter. Naya's heart beat faster. Was he looking for the source of her beacon? She pressed the device, changing its signal pattern briefly. The human's head turned in her direction. He had detected it. The human spoke into a device on his wrist. Then he did something unexpected. Instead of returning to the ship, he began walking toward the jungle. Toward her, Naya pressed herself against a fallen stone column, hardly daring to breathe. The human moved with purpose, but caution, checking his surroundings frequently. He was now dangerously close to a Draxian patrol route. She had to warn him. If the Draxians found him this far from his ship, there would be trouble. Naya waved. Her arm, letting her skin glow, just bright enough to be seen through the rain. The human spotted her. He froze for a moment, then changed direction, moving more carefully now. When he was about 10 meters away, he stopped and spoke. His words meant nothing to Naya, but his gestures were clear. He wanted her to come to him. Naya hesitated. What? If this was a trap? What if humans were no better than Draxians? But what choice did she have? She stepped out from her hiding place, ready to run if needed. The human stayed where he was, one hand raised in what seemed like a calming gesture. With the other hand, he touched his helmet. A small light on it changed from red to green. Can you understand me now? The words came through Naya's translator, rough but understandable. Yes, she whispered, amazed. I'm Lieutenant Ryan Miller, from the Earth vessel Horizon. We detected your emergency signal. Are you in trouble? Tears mixed with rain on Naya's face. Someone had heard her. Someone had come. Yes, please help me. The Draxians. They killed my crew. They've been hunting me for weeks. The human Ryan seemed to tense at her words. You're not alone on this planet. There are others like you? No, all dead. I'm the last. Ryan nodded, then spoke into his wrist device again. Naya caught fragments. Captain ... Survivor ... Draxian hostility. Request permission. Whatever response he received made him straighten his shoulders. I'm going to take you to our ship. Stay close to me. We have to move fast. Just as he finished speaking, a shout came from behind them. A Draxian patrol had spotted them. 3 warriors were pointing in their direction. One raised a weapon. Run! Ryan grabbed Naya's arm. They sprinted through the rain toward the human ship. Naya struggled to keep up, her body not built for this gravity. Ryan noticed and did something to his armor. Suddenly, he scooped her up as if she weighed nothing. Hold on. He shouted over the storm. Energy blasts sizzled through the rain behind them. The Draxians were firing. Ryan zigzagged, making them harder to hit. His armor seemed to enhance his speed and strength. More Draxians joined the chase. Alarms blared across the base. The situation was escalating rapidly. They were halfway to the ship when a Draxian warrior leaped into their path. 8 feet of armored fury, all 4 arms holding weapons. Ryan skidded to a stop. Naya clutched against his chest. Human. They. Draxian growled through its translator. That creature is Draxian property. Return it or face consequences. Property? Naya trembled. The Draxians didn't see her as a person, just as something to be owned. Used. Consumed. Ryan set Naya down. Gently, but kept one arm protectively in front of her. With the other, he reached slowly to his belt and pulled out a weapon of his own. It looked small compared to the Draxian's guns, but he held it with confidence. She's not property. She's a person asking for help. I'm taking her with me. The Draxian made a sound that might have been laughter. You die for nothing, human. 1 ship against our fleet? Unwise. More Draxians were approaching. They would be surrounded soon. Then a new voice cut through the rain. That's enough, Commander Vex. A human woman walked toward them. Unlike Ryan, she wore no armor, just a uniform with insignia Naya didn't recognize. The rain seemed not to bother her at all. Draxians moved aside as she approached. Captain Shepard, the Draxian commander said, lowering his weapon slightly. This does not concern you. When my crew is threatened, it concerns me. The captain's voice was calm but firm. Lieutenant Miller has claimed this survivor under Section 7 of our trade agreement. The right of salvage for abandoned goods, the Draxian hissed. This is not abandoned. This is escaped. Really? Then why was she alone in the jungle, sending out a distress signal? If she's yours, you've done a poor job keeping track of your ... property. The captain's tone made the last word sound like an insult. A tense silence followed. Naya hardly dared to breathe. More Draxians had gathered, but none interfered. They seemed to be waiting for their commander's decision. Finally, the Draxian lowered his weapons completely. Take it. 1 Lyrian is not worth disrupting our profitable arrangement. He turned to Naya, his multiple eyes cold. Consider yourself lucky, Food. These humans have bought you. For now. Captain Shepard ignored the threat. Lieutenant, bring our guest aboard. We're leaving as soon as the storm passes. Ryan guided Naya toward the ship, still keeping himself between her and the Draxians. The captain followed, walking backward, never turning her back on the warriors. As they reached the ship's ramp, Naya looked up at Ryan's face, now visible as he retracted his helmet. He had kind eyes that looked at her and saw a person, not prey. Thank you, she whispered. Ryan smiled. Humans help people in trouble. It's what we do. For the first time in weeks, Naya felt something other than fear, something that might, with time, become hope. Naya woke in a small room with soft lighting. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then she remembered. The storm, the chase, the humans. She was on their ship. The horizon. The bed she lay on was comfortable, made for someone larger than herself, but still better than the hard ground of the jungle. The room was simple but clean. A cup of water sat on a small table nearby. Naya sat up slowly. Her body ached from weeks of running and hiding, but she felt better than she had in days. Someone had treated her cuts and bruises. Her torn clothes had been replaced with a soft, simple garment that fit surprisingly well. A panel on the wall lit up, showing a face. The human Captain Shepard. "Good morning," the captain said. "How are you feeling?" Naya touched the translator at her neck. Someone had repaired it. The words came through clearly now. "Better. Thank you for saving me." "Lieutenant Miller did the saving. I just did the talking." The captain smiled. "Are you able to join us? We have questions, and I suspect you do too." Naya nodded. "Yes, I can come." "Good. The door will open, and lights will guide you to our meeting room." The panel went dark. Then the door slid open. Soft lights appeared on the floor, creating a path. Naya followed them through corridors that curved gently. The ship was beautiful inside, all smooth lines and calm colors. She reached another door that opened at her approach. Inside was a round table where several humans sat. Captain Shepard stood as Naya entered. "Everyone, this is our guest." "I don't believe we caught your name yet." "Naya," she said. "I am Naya of the Lyrian Confederation." The captain nodded. "Welcome." "Naya, please sit." A chair had been adjusted for her smaller size. Naya sat, looking at the humans around the table. Besides Captain Shepard, there was Ryan Miller, the lieutenant who had found her. A woman with tools hanging from her belt. Another man with devices attached to his ears. And an older man with kind eyes. "This is my crew," Shepard said. "Lieutenant Ryan Miller, who you've met. Olivia Bennett, our engineer. She fixed your translator. Daniel Wright, our communications officer. And Dr. Alan Perry, our medical officer. He treated your injuries while you slept." Naya nodded to each of them. "Thank you all." "Now," the captain said, "perhaps you could tell us what a Lyrian is doing on a planet that all our charts show as uninhabited, and why the Draxians were hunting you." Naya took a deep breath and told her story. The research mission, the attack, the crash, her weeks of survival. She explained about the Lyrian Confederation, a peaceful alliance of species that explored the galaxy for scientific knowledge. "The Draxians have always been enemies of my people," she finished. "They see us as food and sources of biological materials they value." The humans exchanged glances. They seemed troubled by this. "You mentioned a confederation," Daniel Wright said. "How large is it, and why haven't we encountered it before?" Naya hesitated. Should she tell them? The Confederation had strict rules about contact with developing species. But these humans were already far from their home, trading with Draxians. The rules seemed to have been broken already. The Confederation includes 17 intelligent species across what you would call several hundred light years. As for why you haven't met us, ... She looked at Captain Shepard. "My people have known about Earth for some time. The Confederation decided your species should be left alone to develop naturally. Contact was not to be made for at least another 100 years. The captain raised her eyebrows. "I see. So we're considered ... primitive?" "Not primitive. Young. Still growing." Naya tried to explain gently. "Most species take thousands of years to develop faster than light travel after achieving basic spaceflight. You did it in less than a century." It was thought you needed more time to ... mature. Instead of being offended, the humans seemed amused. Well, Ryan said with a smile, we've always been impatient. Olivia Bennett leaned forward. Your ship, the one that crashed. Could others have survived? Naya's glow dimmed with sadness. No, I saw the main ship destroyed. The other escape pods were hit before they could launch. I was the only one who got away. I'm sorry, the engineer said softly. Captain Shepard stood and walked to a display on the wall. The storm has passed. We're preparing to leave this planet. Naya, we can take you somewhere safe, but we need to know where to go. Is there a Confederation outpost nearby? Naya thought for a moment. The nearest outpost would be in the Proxima system. But she hesitated again. But what? The captain asked. But I need to report what I've seen here. The Draxians are building a military base in Forbidden's territory. This violates many treaties. The Confederation needs to know. Daniel Wright touched one of the devices on his ears. We could send a message for you. Our communication system has good range. Thank you. That would help. Naya felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. She wasn't alone anymore, as Daniel helped her compose a message to her people. Ryan sat beside her. Can I ask you something? He said. Naya nodded. Why was your research ship in Forbidden's territory in the first place? A fair question. We were studying the unique life forms here. My specialty is plant biology. This planet has species found nowhere else. We thought a small, quiet mission would go unnoticed. Ryan nodded. Curiosity. That's something our species understands well. The message was sent. Now they could only wait for a response. Hours later, as the horizon traveled through space away from the jungle planet, Naya stood at a viewport watching the stars. She had never thought she would see them again. Ryan joined her. Daniel got a reply to your message. A Confederation vessel is meeting us at the coordinates you provided. Thank you. All of you. Naya turned to face him. Why did you help me? Your captain could have ignored my signal. You risked your life to reach me. Ryan seemed surprised by the question. Because you needed help. That's reason enough. But I'm not human. I'm not ... like you. Does that matter? Ryan asked simply. You were in danger. You were alone. No one deserves to be abandoned among monsters. Naya's eyes filled with tears. The Draxians called me food, property, not a person. The Draxians are wrong. Ryan's voice was firm. In the short time we've known you, we've seen your courage, your intelligence, your will to survive. Those are things we respect. A soft chime sounded. Daniel's voice came over the ship's system. Captain, we're approaching the rendezvous point. Confederation vessel detected. Naya felt a mixture of joy and sadness. Soon she would be with her own people again, safe. But she would miss these humans who had saved her without hesitation. As they entered the bridge, Naya saw it on the main screen. A Confederation ship, silver and graceful. Home. The Confederation officials were shocked to see her with humans, a species they had carefully avoided contacting. They were even more shocked when Captain Shepard presented evidence of the Draxian base and their violations of Confederation territory. We thought you should know what your neighbors are doing, the captain said simply. As arrangements were made for Naya to transfer to the Confederation vessel. She said her goodbyes to the human crew. Dr. Perry gave her medicines for her remaining injuries. Olivia returned her repaired tablet, recovered from the horizon sensors. Daniel taught her a few words of human language. Last was Ryan. He hesitated and handed her a small device. It's a communicator, he explained. It's tuned to frequencies our ships use. If you ever need help again. Naya took it carefully. Your people will answer? Ryan smiled. I will answer. As Naya prepared to leave the horizon, Captain Shepard stopped her. Your Confederation has been watching humanity from a distance, deciding we weren't ready for contact. Today, that changes. Tell your leaders something for me. What is that, Captain? Naya asked. Tell them humanity is out here now. We're exploring, learning, making friends and enemies. Ready or not, we've joined the galaxy, and we'd rather be friends, Naya nodded. I will tell them, and I will not forget what you did for me. As she walked onto the Confederation ship, Naya looked back at the humans who had saved her. Once she had been abandoned among monsters, with no hope of rescue. These humans, these remarkable people, had changed everything. Naya held the communicator tight in her hand. She would not need to weep alone again.